leader in Nigeria democracy, preparing ahead of 2027 general elections. You know very well that issue of Muslim ticket has become a debate. And this has also been triggered again by a sheikh, Muslim cleric, that triggered this debate. What is actually your position on Muslim ticket in a democracy?
I think some of the things that have fractured the foundation of our democracy is the fact those clerics who support candidates who cannot deliver on the promise made by the people, who cannot use public resources to drive the process of industrialization, of development, of creating wealth that will help nourish the poor and vulnerable people in the society. That is why those kind of rhetorics is found in our political discussion, in our political arena. Because these leaders will find out that their support base naturally is to create sentiment, is to use religion to cause confusion. I have decided to rely on those facts and not perform for the people. Because if people who have been elected to serve a 4-year term or 4 years have performed, what I should be canvassing with now is to campaign to the people on promises that have been kept, decisions that were taken in the best interest of the people, analysis of decisions that they have done that have lifted people out of poverty but not drive them into poverty. But what we have seen is that for a very few short time, more Nigerians have been driven into poverty like taken out of poverty. More communities have been driven from their rural and ancestral homes than being given the security to stay. You know, Section 14 of our Constitution clearly says that security of life and property is the primary purpose of governance. So when you see this kind of rhetorics of religion, of division, of superiority of religion comes into play in our democratic dynamics, it's due to lack of performance. It's due to inability for those who have been elected to show that they have competence, that they have the merit and they have the capacity to lead Nigeria to prosperity, to create an egalitarian society where equality, where citizens will find themselves to be equal, where somebody from Bauchi, where somebody from Kogi, where somebody from Zamfara, somebody from Bauchi, somebody from Bayelsa, somebody from Rivers will see themselves as being equal. But when that is lacking, they go back to the division, to the fault lines, to use those fault lines to divide our people in order to bring in incompetent and non-performing leaders to lead the affairs of our country and drive more of our people into poverty. That is the challenge we have, and I think that these leaders that are religious leaders should be able to take note that their responsibility is to preach for peace, is to preach for communal existence, is to preach for collectivism, where Nigerians will see themselves as Nigeria first, so that we can love ourselves, so that we can create an enabling environment for foreigners to come. Because with this kind of rhetoric, also drive foreigners away. It drives foreign investors away, because it could lead to violence. It could lead to eruption of dissatisfaction that will lead to, lack of peace within every community. So this is dangerous for our economic growth, it's dangerous for our political projection, it's dangerous for our brotherly living. So it is critical that these religious leaders will know this and put the best interest of our community at heart, not the interest of whatever money bags, of whatever resources that have been using to drive their personal interests, for them to live the luxury and allow our people to wallow in continuous poverty.
Why is it difficult for opposition leaders to actually come together? I see from the beginning that opposition were coming together on the platform of the ADC, but later I can see some division. Why is it like that if we are ready to actually oppose the ruling government?
It is political rhetoric of the APC that is being echoed around. Opposition is not together. Hunger has united the electorate. It is the electorate that matters. That I'm telling you scientifically, it's not because I support Peter Obi or because I believe in his candidacy. But I'm telling you what unites the electorate is hunger. What unites the electorate is the dissatisfaction that government is not living up to expectation. What unites the electorate is that there are no basic amenities that will cater for the welfare of the people. What unites the electorate, who are the #1 critical stakeholder on election day, what unites them is that those who have used our public resources to create luxury for themselves while being in presidency, buying yards, buying vehicles, renovating presidential villas, and buying kitchen utensils for the benefit of those who have been elected as president and vice president. That is what unites our electorate. What unites our electorate, who will be the vast majority of people who will go to cast their vote, is the fact that government have refused to communicate with the electorate. Today we have a president who doesn't speak to anybody, who doesn't hold press meeting. He has even made the function of media as the fourth estate of the realm very redundant, because they can't even communicate with him, they can't have an interactive section with him, they can't have press meeting with him. That is the problem. The people are hungry. When the people are hungry, what a leader does, what a president does, who is the leader of a country, is to offer hope, is to give hope, and that hope must be committed through regular discussion, regular press briefing, regular interactive section with citizens. There's no way. I've told people, a person like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is insulated from the problem of this country. I've told people, you cannot have a man who, since 1993, let's say 1999, has never traveled on any major road across Nigeria. He has never visited any major crisis reading community across Nigeria. So he doesn't know the plight. I traveled from Lokoja Road 5 a.m. yesterday to catch a flight at Abuja. I know how bad the road is. He has never traveled on any of this road. And this is not just that it happened yesterday. He has been insulated with the apparatus of state since 1999, where he was governor for 8 years and leader of a political party for another 8 years, and then president for another period of time. So this is our challenge. Our challenge is not that we do not have resources. Our challenge is not we do not have the capacity, the human natural resources to transform our mineral resources for the good use of the people. Our challenge is poor management by those who have been elected. Because Nigeria alone has 64 million hectares of fertile arable land. We are not food sufficient. We are still appointing grains and all that. Even Ukraine, who is aware, is giving us grain for poverty, for hunger. So we have a challenge, and that challenge is the fact that we have incompetent people who are insensitive, who are not compassionate, who cannot relate with the suffering of the people, who are disassociated, who are disengaged from the reality of the living of the masses. They don't know what people are facing. You see, when you have such leaders, you create more poverty than to create more prosperity. That is our challenge. And when election comes, people will go to vote on the basis of what they believe in. So whether you have 10 political parties, whether you have 20 political parties participating, Nigerians are wise enough, as proven in 2023, that they can vote for another candidate that is not of their choice. Yes, you can talk about that. The court had validated that President Bola Ahmed won. You can talk about the INEC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but in their own case, they know they are suffering from legitimacy issue. They are aware that election was rigged, that election was not won by them, that the election was won by Peter Obi. They know. And Peter Obi, there was no structure. We could win 12 states across Nigeria. You know, so we know this true, but let's agree that this has happened. But going forward, let me tell you, it is not about how many candidates I have. It is about how Nigerians have decided to vote. If Nigerians have decided to vote in one way, let their vote count. Today, people are attempting to rig the minds of Nigerians. It's rigging. That thing you are saying, when oppositions are divided, it's a rigging. It will cause voter apathy. Yes, I'm telling you as a political scientist who has studied politics up to PhD level, and practice it up to the highest level of political party management, whether it's at the Party Advisory Council or national chairman of a political party. I've heard those positions. And I can tell you that what the narrative, either by journalists, civil society, political actors are preaching, is to rig the mind of ordinary Nigerians to the detriment of our collective good. Because you cannot say Nigeria position is divided. The constitution in section 223 says we shall have a multi-party democratic system. A multi-party democratic system where every candidate can present their presidential candidate. Nigerians are learned enough, well-informed enough to take decision on which candidate will best represent their interests through the ballot. So the opposition is not divided. The opposition individually and collectively are consolidating their manifesto, consolidating their ideas, and they are going to put it before Nigerians before the 16th of January election, and Nigeria's decision will be that of Nigeria. If they are willing to continue with this bad government, if they are willing to continue with this impoverished system of making people poorer, or they are willing to start a new course and try a new thing that can change the course of our trajectory as a country and put us in the midst of community of nations where we will be respected as people who have the human capital, who have the natural resources to drive industrialization and also help Africa as a continent to be respected globally.
What can we do to result of elections, particularly what happened in 2023?
Nigerians are committed. Nigerians live in this country. It's not only opposition that live in this country. Other Nigerians who are not partisan also bear the brunt of bad governance. You come here now, you are in this cozy place, you are enjoying yourself. It's a product of good governance. So if people use resources well, Nigerians will know what to do. On election day, let me tell you what will happen. Nigerians will defend their votes. Nigerians have learned from the failure of government or failure of institution to defend the rights of the people. And what happened, the glitch that happened in 2022, today is not accounted for. Today, the people in INEC who did that are still working free. And that should not be in any case in any country. There should be accountability, and there should be probity, and there should be respect for the sufferings of Nigeria who went out on that day to cast their vote in the sun. So going to 2027 election, I assure you that parties like party I belong to is NDC, with a presidential candidate Peter Obi. What our plans are is to make sure that we have a well-trained agent across 176,000 polling units of this country that will be able to stand and defend our vote, and we will use other systems that will not be announced to the public to be able to also do critical protection of our vote. It is very eminent that we do that, because the future of this country always stands on transparent, credible, and reliable electoral processes. And two, we must make sure we unbundle the commission, INEC. INEC is overbody. There's no accountability in INEC, because INEC takes those who are participating in the election, like the president, also represent those who appoint the referee that will officiate the match on the 16th of January. So there's a critical situation there. So we need to look at Justice Lemu Electoral Reform Panel of 2011. We need to look at Justice Uwe's Electoral Reform Panel of 2008, and Senator Ken Nnamdi Electoral Reform Panel under Buhari, to unbundle the commission so that we can have just electoral management body responsible for the conduct of election, not an electoral management body that does registration of political party, that does the registration of political party, that does monitor of political party, and that does regulation of political party. We need to do that, unbundle the commission, take a lot of problem from them, so that we can have a credible election that will not be a product of a criminal enterprise, a product of a criminal intent by those who control the state apparatus. This is very critical. We have a challenge in our country, and the only way we can fix it is through transparency. I've said it that for the 2 years Tinubu got into office, for the first 1 year they were caught, there were legitimacy issues. Nigeria believed that it was not rightly voted for, that the mandate he carried was not a transparent, did not come through a transparent election. And if you look at what Yaradua did, which we must commend, Yaradua was the one who set up Justice Uwe's Electoral Reform Panel that said that the process that brought me in is not transparent, is not credible to be called an electoral process. Let Tinubu learn from that decision of a very disciplined man and act upon it and give Nigerians credible election. The APC know that they have failed. The APC know that they have underperformed. The APC know that they have caught hunger in this country. The APC know that Nigerians are suffering across board and they are afraid of election. Everybody knows that they are afraid. And if they are not afraid, they should give us a transparent election that we will be judged by international community and local communities and citizens as well, that this election is in line with the dictate of our constitution, which is our grand norm, the principal regulator for our constitutional democracy, and also the subsidiary legislation, which is the Electoral Act. This is what we ask of. We have known nothing more or nothing less. What we want is credible election that can deliver development for our people.